The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu just addressed the United Nations General Assembly, where scores of delegates walked out in protest. Netanyahu defending his country's war against Hamas in Gaza, despite the suffering of some innocent Palestinians.
The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. Much of the world no longer remembers October 7th. But we remember. Israel remembers October 7th.
This after President Trump spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu about the war yesterday. President Trump saying, and I'm quoting now, "We're getting pretty close to having a deal on Gaza and maybe even on peace," end quote. That's from President Trump. Let's go live right now to CNN's Jerusalem Bureau Chief, Oren Lieberman. Oren, it was a remarkable moment to see so many UN delegates simply walk out in protest of Netanyahu's UN address. He spoke for about 40 minutes or so. What stood out to you about his speech?
Wolf, we have often seen UN delegates leave when the Israeli leader speaks here, but I'm not sure we've ever seen it in quite these numbers, and that gets at the growing risk of isolation that Israel faces as we near, in just a few weeks here, the 2-year mark of the war amid Israel's escalating assault on Gaza City itself and a humanitarian crisis. In terms of the speech itself and what Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said, I think it was largely predictable. He started the speech focusing on Iran and its proxies. He, of course, talked about October 7th and accused world leaders and others of forgetting or not remembering what happened on October 7th. He vowed Israel would not do that and was unapologetic about Israel pursuing its goal of the complete destruction of Hamas in Gaza. He made no reference to any imminent or potential end of the war anytime soon, which is why President Donald Trump's quote that you read right before is an interesting one. There is reason to be skeptical there, but of course Trump and the UN in general has brought renewed focus on the war in Gaza, so this is something we'll have to pay attention to. In terms of what we saw here that was new, first, Israel and the Israeli military broadcast the audio of the speech through speakers set up around Gaza. Netanyahu at one point spoke, or tried to speak at least, directly to the hostages in Hebrew and in English. We have often seen Netanyahu use what I would call shticks, effectively to get headlines or world attention, and this may be this year's version of that. It's unclear if they actually were able to hear Netanyahu's speech in any way. He then went after the leaders of world countries that have recognized a state of Palestine: France, UK, Australia, amongst a list of those countries that have done so this week. He said they had, quote, buckled and caved under the pressure of what he described as biased media coverage, extremist Islamist minorities, and he expressed what we've seen not only from him but from other Israeli officials, which was blatant anger at these countries for doing so, accusing these countries of rewarding Hamas and rewarding terrorism, even though, for example, France has made it clear that Hamas must disarm and can have no role in the future governance of Gaza. It is also, and I'll wrap up here, Wolf, it is probably the strongest statement I think we have seen from Netanyahu in years of speaking at the UN, openly and vocally denying that there will be a Palestinian state or a two-state solution. Wolf, we've heard him talk about this in the past, but never in such strong opposition to it.
Yeah, he was very, very forceful on that issue. Oren Lieberman in Jerusalem, thank you very much for that update.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.